Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 20 minutes after 8 o'clock. And
10 minutes. I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I think we're
How
both
do you make
above
up
average.
that crap?
I think we're both above average.
Yeah, there is
I know
that.
I am.
I know. What the heck?
Joining us in studio this morning, Mayor for the city of Roswell, Mayor Dennis Kintigh, back with us. Morning, sir.
Good morning. We
How's-
got the video working today.
Yeah, it's back working today. Tanner's got it going.
All right.
He knows the magic button over there, and when he's not
Magic
here,
buttons are always important.
they
That's
got
right.
one over there, and I don't know where it is.
No,
I'm not
I
in the
understand.
video world, so
I hear you. You know, you're radio.
that's right.
You're a radio personality.
I'm
professional.
Yeah, they pay me money. That's
Yes, sir.
by definition, I am. How are you doing today?
I am actually pretty good.
Good.
We got a busy agenda tonight, and it's just a lot of
Is it
stuff.
just kind of I would say housekeeping, because that's not the right, but just
close to it.
nuts and bolts of city government, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and a lot of it, like things like purchasing. All right, we approved a budget in July for the fiscal year. It began July 1.
Gotcha.
And we have monies put aside to do things, purchase equipment and go sign contracts. Well, now we're in the process of awarding those contracts or making those purchases. Like, for example, consider the approval purchase to Distrol in the amount of $744,000 for hot recycling pavement maintenance. And what does that mean? That means we're going to spend $750,000 on the pavement maintenance. This is that kind of melt it type stuff. But we have a bunch of those kinds of things tonight that we will get presentations on.
Gotcha.
I don't anticipate there's a whole lot of debate or discussion. There's some significant numbers here.
Sure.
But this has been discussed in committee with staff, and so we'll just kind of
The
work our
cost
way
of doing business. And
Yeah.
it's not like we can't delay. We need these roads maintained, so
Yes.
it's just the cost of doing business.
So we'll work through this. Now, I don't know what's been pulled off of consent. What's consent? Usually at each committees, there's some things that are just non-controversial, and the policy is that certain things can be put on what's called a consent agenda, which means when we approve the agenda at the beginning of the meeting, we approve those items. Well, the rules we have established for ourselves is that consent means everybody agrees. So if any one counselor doesn't agree, then any one counselor can tell the city clerk to take it off of the consent agenda, and then we act on it. I understand Councilor Orpesa sent an email to the city clerk late yesterday. I haven't seen the email, so I don't know what's coming off yet. But
Okay.
I will find out briefly. So
All right.
stand by. We will learn more. But even so, there's still, even if nothing was pulled off, we'd still have a bunch of stuff. We've got like a dump truck purchase, Toro mower purchase. Man, those things can be expensive. Yeah. Equipping police vehicles. You'd think, you buy the police vehicle. Oh, no.
No, you got to get them all.
All spiffed up. And, they had the radios, the light bars, and then in the back, those seats that the cages they put into them.
Yeah. I'm always curious about how that whole process, like when the city or any municipality buys police vehicles. Obviously we see the cars. You can tell they're Dodges or whatever. Do they buy the car from a local dealership or direct through the like Dodge or somebody, or is there a special company altogether that's selling the cop cars? How does that world work? I don't even know.
They have the state has a procurement arrangement where you as a municipality or department say, we want to use SUVs.
Okay.
And whatever those are. And the companies do, like Ford has for years gone ahead with a certain portion of their line that was designed for police work.
Okay.
And I'm honestly not up to speed on some of it. It's been a while since I was in that world, but they will have these vehicles set up, and sometimes that means a beefed up transmission, beefed up shocks, engines may be a little hotter. Yeah,
Gotcha. Stuff that's handled more rugged stuff than an average person would
Yeah.
take something through. They build it a little more more stout for that.
Now, and then the other interesting thing is that we don't keep these vehicles forever. This is part of the other part of the council meeting tonight. Will be considering selling off excess property.
Because after they hit so many miles, then they are in essence put out to pasture, so to speak.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because then the trade-off becomes, okay, what's it cost to, and we all have this. Every one of us does when we buy a vehicle. How long do I keep it?
Right.
And absent it being stolen or wrecked or something like that, you're going to have to make the decision, do I sell it / trade it in and get a new one, or do I keep it for another year? And that's the same thing the city does. Now, we have a fleet manager, Becky Hicks, who's oversees all of this. And we have this for not just the police department, but for all of our vehicles. Now, one of the things we do is some vehicles get traded down. In other words, say a pickup truck that the fire department uses. Well, the fire department doesn't need it. It's getting a little extra heavy, long in the tooth, shall we say.
Gotcha. But it's still good for other purposes that the city could use it for.
So the Parks Department gets it.
Yeah, gotcha. Makes sense.
So that's the whole thing of trying to make better use of the resources we got. And that's an ongoing day in, day out process.
Well, it would be no different than you and your household and say,
Yes.
Say you bought a new TV for the living room, but you're like, well, I love my living room TV. Well, let's retire the one in the bedroom and put the one in the living room in there. And that's in essence what people do in their houses and things. Cities doing the same thing. So.
Now, there will be a few attention getters.
Okay.
One of the things is we have to approve what we call an Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan, ICIP. What the heck is that? All right. So
it's like a dream sheet.
yeah, it's kind of excellent. That's very excellent. Of things we want to build, replace, repair at the city. And we put them on this list because of they need to be on an overall list so that we can get sometimes outside funding, like grants or loans from the state. Some of these loans from the state, by the way, come with forgiveness clause. So that becomes a good deal for us.
But to get in the running for these, you have to have your needs on this ICIP list.
Right. Now, the interesting thing is you put a top 5 and your legislators or the governor will maybe propose getting state funds to do those projects. So we will put together an ICIP list and send that off to the state.
Gotcha. And if I remember right, this is kind of because each municipality, the county has theirs, and so y'all kind of collaborate too a little bit with them and look at their list and say, oh, well, and so you can kind of that way, if you can pull resources to get something that we can both use, and if we get it on the list or whatever, so there's some of that collaboration, I guess you could say, to kind of increase the odds of getting some of these things in our favor. But it's really. It's the, hey, do you guys have extra money? Oh, okay. Well, these are our needs. This is what we want. And if the state says we will bequeath you that's kind of this is the pecking order list to get onto that stuff.
Now, the secret of success is that you put things at the top of the list you're going to do anyway. That way, we're gonna fund these.
Fund it one way or another.
One way or another.
It'd be nice if you gave us a little.
If you give us some Benjamins there, we can help other things lower on the list, but we're going to move forward with these anyway. So we'll see. And it acquired the state legislature capital outlay stuff that gets a lot of attention and a lot of discussion. Don't get me wrong, every penny is appreciated, but it's not a huge part of the city's budget. We're talking like last year, I think we got like $3 million. Well, the budget was like 110. So, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
we'll work it.
But it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it'd be nice to have these things.
Yep.
We're going to make it happen, but it sure would be nice if you can throw us some bones here. But if not, we're still going to be doing these.
Right.
At least like you said, the ones higher up on the list, maybe the ones a little lower down, those are more down the road or maybe a little more wishful thinking type things,
So another item up will be fees for the cannabis facilities, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Projects and permits within the city of Roswell.
Just to get the permits and licensures
Yeah, this
and all
is
that.
how much of it. Now, understand how this is going to work. We still do not know what the state's going to require because the state has set up some commission / board They're going to propose rules. Things are going to get, and it really doesn't become legal until April 1. Attention, people. You cannot be selling dope until April 1.
Gotcha.
All right?
You will be charged.
Yeah, well, you're not, it's not, it's a little complicated mess. The governor in her haste to get this through, because she demanded a special session, allowed no amendments to the flawed legislation, has given us a difficult situation here. So we are trying as a municipality to make sure we've set things up.
Sure.
Because there's holes in what the state wants to do. Now, the state can come along and change stuff from what we're doing, but right now we're trying to establish some ground
Given the
rules.
parameters, this is what you're going with.
Now, here's the other little tidbit for you. This is a resolution that would set fees. It does not mean that there can't be a later resolution that changes them.
Gotcha.
Could make them higher, could make them lower, but this is not the end of the road.
You're just trying to get a baseline here, I guess you could say.
And that's an excellent way to put it. You're getting a baseline. So this is something that's going to go into the into effect unless the state changes it. But it's murky ground. We had 3 city councilors that have worked very hard on this. Councilor Best, Chair of Public Safety, Councilor Stubbs, Chair of Legal, and Councilor Jason Perry of Finance. And they've worked with staff, our attorneys, and our community service, community development director, and they are presenting this material to us. So I'm impressed with what their commitment, and some people. Well, the problem is you never make everybody happy, but anyway,
Right.
in connection with that, as you may recall, a couple months ago last month we voted on some ordinances dealing with cannabis, marijuana. So at the time we said, hey, this was just the beginning. We're going to have to do some more work. So tonight we're also going to have take action on an authorization to advertise for a future public hearing and vote. In other words, ordinances require 2 steps. First step, you say, yeah, we're going to talk about it next month, yes or no. And if the council says yes, then next month you talk about it and then decide yes or no.
Yep. And there's a method to that madness.
It gives everybody time to look at it.
Sure. And then if you have a opinion strong one way or the other on it, your opportunity to address that to the city council and things, and to give everyone a heads up on that, so to speak. It's basically the speak now or forever hold your peace moment.
Bingo. Although, once again, everything can be amended.
Sure.
Yeah, that's right. A little bit further on, we have wayfinding materials like concepts and cost estimates. Wayfinding. What is wayfinding? Signs. It's a fancy dancy way of saying we're going to put up more signs to help people find their way around.
Gotcha.
Now, if you're from Roswell, you know where the parking lots are on Virginia and on Richardson.
Sure.
That's easy.
The local, the tourists do not.
The tourists do not. And they are looking for, where do I park? Because I want to go visit. And especially downtown, that's a big issue.
Sure.
The fact that we have a planetarium, that's a big issue. So we are working on identifying where these parking places are with signs that catch your eye, that help you help direct people safely to where there's parking. And we've actually got a lot of downtown parking.
We do. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, shoot, you could pretty much put a bunch of people behind the courthouse. I mean, there's a huge parking lot there. I mean, that's probably the biggest one spot, but there's so many other parking lots on both sides of Maine there, on either side there. Just got to, like I park every day in city parking.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a good deal.
Yeah.
We got more purchases, like I mentioned the dump truck, the Toro mower, equipping the vehicle. So we walk our way through that. And then we're going to have a little bit of an interesting sidelight.
Okay.
The city of Roswell has been a party to a lawsuit against the state. Go figure. Roswell suing the state of New Mexico. Don't get me started. It's like, when do we do the next one?
Which one is this one again?
Which one is this again? It has to do, and it's kind of in the weeds, but how gross receipts tax are collected and distributed to municipalities. In other words, the city of Roswell does not collect gross receipts tax. Well, yeah, we do. No, we don't. You pay merchant. You pay the state taxation and revenue. You pay them the state rate, the county rate, and the city rate. You pay everything to them. And then those wonderful, caring, terrific people in Santa Fe decide to send it back to us here. With, by the way, no joke, I call it shipping and handling.
They're big.
The city has, and it's really not a big part of it.
Sounds like the mob, but sanctioned by the government.
Well, the mob and the government. Don't get me started.
It's just good fellows, except for their government officials instead of.
We got a deal for you.
It kind of is, Hey, you get his piece, he get his piece. All right,
everybody gets a piece of the action. Yeah. So, a piece of the action. So, what has happened too is there's like a black curtain here. I mean, we as the city of Roswell and the counties and even Albuquerque do not get to see behind the curtain. In other words, the money that comes to them, these little folks,
because it makes it hard to do that mob thing when everyone can see it.
Yeah. So they're back there saying, "Okay, we're gonna give Roswell a little piece of the action."
Yeah.
And bingo, a check shows up. And it's not a check anymore, but a direct deposit.
Sure.
Bing, in our accounts. Now they tell us this is what your fair share is. Okay, how do we know that? Trust us.
Right.
We're from the state. We're here to help you.
We know better.
We know better. Well, that's the problem. There is some dispute over whether or not they were taking more than their fair share of a piece of the action going back a few years ago. And the rules got changed by the legislature, and it became a complicated mess. Many of us, by that I mean municipalities, there was 44 municipalities and counties that were involved. I don't think Chavez County was a plaintiff in this because gross receipts tax is not a huge deal.
Yeah, the county's not. They don't live and breathe by the gross receipts like Roswell does.
The leaders in this effort, I would say, were Albuquerque, Hobbs, and I think Farmington, but don't hold me on that one. But they were the instigators and the pushers. So we were invited to join in, and we chose to do so. Well, now a settlement has been offered to us, and it's been in the media talk about how much we can say yes or no. The ground rule that has been discussed is that it's an all or nothing. In other words, all the plaintiffs have to agree to it, or the state's not going to go forward. Tonight, we will have a weird arrangement. By that, I mean we will go into closed session. And in the closed session, the attorneys are going to brief us on the litigation and the lawsuit and what's the political theory and blah, blah, blah.
The good, the bad, the ugly here on both decisions here.
But that's going to be in closed session. Then we come out of closed session, and the council will either say yes or no on accepting the settlement agreement. And it's kind of a weird arrangement because I haven't had a chance to get together with Mr. Patterson, our city attorney, to get a full understanding of what we can and cannot say in the open meeting. Mm-hmm. My understanding is that once there is a settlement or resolution, much of this gets in the public domain. But while it's still pending before a court, there's much we can't talk about. Now, where those boundaries are, I'll be honest with you, this morning, I don't know yet. And I'm going to have to learn this afternoon, and this evening, that will be one of the things we talk about.
Just out of curiosity, when we talk about the lawsuit here, and obviously, we're talking money and
Yep.
wanting money and things like that. But in your opinion, is this lawsuit to get money, or is this lawsuit to raise awareness? In your opinion?
Well, that really is a decent question, because one of my frustrations is apparently the state has not conceded that they did anything wrong, or that they need to change their procedures. The whole question of being able to see behind the curtain, to get serious for a moment, deals with the fact that a business here, let's pick on Walmart. They're always fun to pick on.
Sure.
Walmart pays the state the gross receipts tax. In other words, a transaction occurs in the month of July, all during the month of July. So around the middle of August, Walmart needs to send to the state the taxes on all of those July transactions. So it gets up to the state. The state, in turn, will, by about the middle of September, send the city and the county their portions of that. But what does that really look like? Well, they have always maintained, they being the state tax and revenue department, that this is taxpayer private information and it cannot be released. So they will not share. Well, Walmart paid us, I'm making up a number here, $6 million. That's probably ridiculous, but anyway.
Right.
All right, say
Nice
$1 million. Let's go with $1 million. Say they paid us $1 million.
Okay.
And you, city, are getting $250,000. Okay. The problem is we don't know if they really paid $1 million,
Right.
or if they were supposed to pay $1 million.
Sure. It's all the trust of we know what's best for you. And
Yes,
here you
we know
go.
what's best for you. Now, this is actually not a new issue, and municipalities have pushed back on this for quite a while. We maintain that we should have an extra set of eyes
Absolutely.
on this whole process, independent of the state agency. That issue has not been resolved, and that is it continues to be a very serious question.
Yeah.
Just so you understand, they decide how much money to send to us.
Yeah.
And if they say, oops, we paid you too much last month, we're going to reduce what you get this month. The city of Eunice is the classic example. And Eunice actually instigated a lawsuit, probably, I'm going to say 7 years ago. I could be off on that. And the point being that there was a business that was paying or charging and was collecting and sending to the state gross receipts tax with the Eunice rate, city of or town of Eunice, and then Eunice was getting this money. Well, it turns out the business was actually outside the city limits. Should not have been collecting it, and the state should not have been passing it down.
Gotcha.
But it was. So the state, in its infinite wisdom, said, Eunice, we just discovered this error. You're not going to get any gross receipts, period.
Wow.
Nothing.
Why didn't they just stop it right there and then move on where the business doesn't play gross receipts anymore, water on the bridge? Hey, maybe we give them some perk for the money they did pay in, give them some kind of a water break or something. I don't know how their utilities are working and all that, but
this went all the way to the state Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to attempt to give you a briefing on it, but it became a huge issue. And there was a bit of a legislative fix. Basically, there's a time limit. The state has a finite period of time to collect an error. They cannot go back beyond it. And this is also murky. They can't withhold more than a certain percentage. In other words, say, for example, they discovered, we overpaid Roswell $4 million. Well, we normally get in gross receipts tax about, this is an estimate, $2.8 million a month. It fluctuates up and down from that. But if they came along and said, no, you're overpaid by $4 million, they can't take the whole chunk out one time or within 2 months. They have to spread it out. So, because we need to be able to make payroll.
sure. And there's no way for you as a city to track what you think you should be getting unless you somehow collected all the receipts of the businesses in town, right? So you're really relying on, okay, you've had this much people buy stuff in Roswell this month or whatever it is.
Yep.
This is your percentage. And but the problem is there is no public place to see that. You can't go online and look each month, which I would think as a tax-paying citizen of New Mexico, you should be able to go online and see exactly where the money you win is going. And that's where I think where a lot of people, including the municipalities, are having a big problem here.
Now, they will do categories. In other words, they will say retail.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Walmart, Home Depot, any of the shops out here on Main Street.
Pretty much anything
that's all retail. And then there's restaurants.
Yeah.
That's everything from Todzilla
to groceries, right?
To cattle barons.
Okay.
Those are that, and so you get these broad categories.
Sure.
Professional services can be everything from a landman to a doctor's office.
Gotcha.
All right. So we wish we had more data, but it's not getting resolved, and it's a sore subject between the municipalities and the state.
I get it. I mean, let's face it. I think if you polled the average New Mexican, I guarantee a majority of New Mexicans say they don't trust our state government, with all of that stuff. And the last thing we want to do is have these things in place that just create less transparency. To me, that's my problem. I think this is public money.
Yeah.
Everyone that pays into it should be able to see where it's going. And anybody should be able to get on the state's website, and I should be able to find out exactly how that is. And to be honest, I don't understand why they have a problem with that. Why? There's only one reason to put it behind a curtain, and it's to do nefarious stuff. That's the only reason. There's no other reason to not have this in the public to be available for everybody.
This has been an ongoing battle, literally for decades, and the powers to be in Santa Fe have dominated this and have controlled it. The legislature is it's really interesting, and I'll get a little bit philosophical here for a few minutes. Municipalities are the proverbial redheaded stepchild in the state. Why am I saying that? When you think about it, the provider of services throughout the state are the municipalities. What do you mean? I mean, you turn on the tap in your kitchen to get water. Mm-hmm. That is a city water system. Now, some places have water co-ops, but here in the city of Roswell, it's a city water system.
Sure.
Same thing, you flush that toilet, bam.
Yeah.
Those streets, I know, we need to keep working on them, and we are. Trust me, we're working on them diligently. Those are city streets. The fire department is a city city team.
Yeah.
And we have everything. Here in Roswell, we have everything from an airport to a zoo that is provided by the city. What does the state do for us? Very little.
I was saying, I'm curious. What do they do for?
As far as the day-to-day operate, and the other interesting thing about a city is this, the city never sleeps. Well, in reality, it doesn't. Yeah. We actually have people working 24/7. And it's not just the police and fire. Mm-hmm. We have water department folks. Yeah. We have dispatch. We have all these folks that,
Sure.
A water line breaks like you had happen, 2 years ago out here on 3rd Street at 3 o'clock in the morning. For whatever reason, it breaks. And water starts gushing up. Someone calls in, and bam, the crews are alerted, and they come out in the middle of the stinking night.
Absolutely.
Turn off the water and start the repair process.
Yeah, that's well, you think about it. That's a pressurized system. It's needed 24/7. Something goes down, and obviously, when a water main breaks somewhere, that creates a whole lot of other potential hazards. So it's got to be taken care of right then and there.
Well, here's another interesting thing too for you, and a lot of people don't realize this or recognize this, but the Roswell Fire Department is the emergency response entity for this region. Mm-hmm. Let me just say a quick word here. We have volunteer fire departments outside the city limits. They are fine groups of people. Mm-hmm. They are public servants in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
They don't have the same ability to respond immediately that the Roswell Fire Department has. This fire department has gone almost to Vaughn.
It does.
To handle a single vehicle rollover on 285.
Yeah, there just isn't a lot of other resources outside of the city of Roswell that can get into Roosevelt County and some of these other places. And so, yeah, I think I've told you this story. I was doing the ride along with the sheriff when there was an accident way up there, like halfway to Vaughn.
Yep.
And sure enough, guess who's on scene? Roswell Fire Rescue and one state police and county sheriff. And
that's something people don't realize.
By the way, not their county, our county.
Yeah, our sheriff. Exactly. And because it's easier to get there from here, blah, blah, blah. We get all that. The schools. We have 3 schools that are outside the city limits. We have Berendo Middle, East Grand Plains, and Mountain View. They are outside the city limits. The Roswell Fire Department is the first response entity to any incident at those schools. The first call out goes bam to them. Same thing for the churches and occupied dwellings. Now, a non-occupied dwelling, they will attempt to get a response from the appropriate volunteer fire department. By the 3rd attempt from dispatch, if there is no response or an inadequate response, but for whatever reason, people are not available, they're tied up, they're already working, the Roswell Fire Department will go. And those guys, it's amazing what we have to do.
They're the backup to the backups, and they're the ones. They're the I guess you could say the line. They're the ones at the end that's got to make sure everything happens. Yeah.
Well, like a month or so ago, the little burrito shop down there on Hobson and South Main.
Yeah.
They had a fire.
Yeah.
All right. That is outside the city limits. You should have seen the number of city vehicles that showed up there because it was occupied and there was an injury in connection with that. I don't think it was serious, but anyway, it was amazing.
Sure.
So the point I'm making here is that this is a city-provided service. There is no state fire department. There is no, and
you provide services to people outside of those that actually pay into the city services, if that makes sense. Which not like we're complaining that's going to happen. That's just you people help people. But sure, it'd be nice the state saying, you know what, we're going to help you offset some of that cost that you're doing that technically we should be doing.
Exactly. And that's one of the ongoing discussion items we've had for quite a while, which all comes back to this whole issue of litigating and getting the what we're supposed to get. The interesting thing about this settlement is we think we're being offered about half of what we claim we should get. Now, what we claim we should get isn't necessarily accurate because, once again, we don't have access to all the data.
Right.
And there is some murkiness because the law was changed partway through this whole thing. And so there'd be matters of law about whether in 2012, there was a 3-year versus a 1-year in 2016 or vice versa. Is it worth the effort to try and litigate this all the way? It would be quite a while longer, and it would be a painful process. So do we accept the offer or not? That's going to be the discussion tonight.
Gotcha.
And I don't think I can state how much we would be Roswell's share.
Gotcha.
So
probably tomorrow, when you come in tomorrow, we'll have a much clearer picture on how they
tomorrow
went.
We'll be able to talk about this
Very
a lot
good.
more.
But obviously, I just saw the time. We probably need to wrap this up too. But obviously, when they go into closed session tonight, and then after that discussion, there'll be the vote, which will be in public.
Yep.
And then and that'll be our decision. And then that doesn't mean anything because then you got to hear from the other municipalities involved, and if they're all in the same. Now, if Roswell's the one ascending or descending vote on this, and the other way around, does that all go away? Or are they going to try to get you to change your vote? What do you think's going to be the next step?
If we were the only ones to say no,
Yeah.
I bet you we would get some attention from the other plaintiffs. There was, full disclosure, there was an earlier effort to get a settlement through, and Albuquerque, Hobbs, and I think it was Farmington bowed up, and they said, nope, that ain't good enough. Now, supposedly that was the last and final best offer from Tax and Rev.
Mm-hmm.
So these three cities bowed up and said no, and the Tax and Rev, okay, we'll change. So that went on. I think we're at the end here.
Okay.
I really do.
Okay.
But we'll find out tonight,
and we'll
talk about it tomorrow.
Okay.
But
Very
it's
good.
an interesting time.
Again, tonight, 6 p.m. at the Roswell Convention Civic Center there in the chambers there. You can also go to the website and watch it as well, very conveniently. Go to roswell-nm.gov. You'll find the link to watch the meeting there. Do it from the comfort of your home. You can also submit questions. There is another GoToMeeting link there to submit questions and things if you want to talk at some point during the meeting. And then obviously when that time comes, the mayor will give you the floor to do all of that. So very good. And then, of course, join us tomorrow morning. Mayor will be back with us with his McDonald's breakfast burrito.
Yay.
And we'll talk the good, the bad, the ugly of tonight's meeting.
You know, I'm almost kind of thinking, I know this is radical, so don't fall out of your chair.
All right.
Maybe an English McMuffin tomorrow.
Ooh. All right.
But you can't just eat the same thing all the time.
I know.
I mean, Sean would be able to elaborate on this a lot more. Maybe you guys can talk about this.
Yeah.
But I'm really starting to think, I haven't had an Egg McMuffin in a long time.
Do you like green chili on it?
Ooh.
That's the thing right now.
Well, then, yeah.
All right, Tanner. The mayor would like the green chili OG Egg McMuffin with the Canadian bacon.
Yeah. Whoa.
The original.
Wow.
That's one of my faves, so I know all about. And I even recommend. I love the regular egg too, but I kind of dig the white, just the white one. With the egg white instead. They have one. They have an egg white one that's just full of instead of the one that's got the little yolk in it too. They're both good, but I sometimes I have a craving just for the egg white one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
See, I'm not racist like you. On that note,
I'm not even going to try to do
my
that.
gosh,
So.
what do we? The doo-doo storm I just.
Well, thank you, sir.
I am the mayor. It's my.
That's true. It's prerogative.
It's my
You can say
spiritual gift is stirring the pot.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, we'll see you. We'll talk to you in the morning.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's 8:57. Let's